Union podcast. We have a special guest with us today. We have one of the leading world umpires and, multiple championship winner for Leicestershire County Cricket Club, David Millns. How you doing, Dave?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm just pleased that I never have to do any warm-ups again.
That's what it feels like work, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. I don't miss those at all, but I do enjoy having a cup of tea in the morning, watching the lads trying to get loose, knowing that I never have to do that again.
What do you make of football referees? Because they do a pretty extensive warm-up these days, don't they?
They do, yeah. And it's look, with regards to what they have to do on field, you can understand why, and hopefully nobody gets the idea that we have to do that. So, we just are quite happy doing our little warm-ups the way we do them, and which mainly involves a cup of tea, having a good chat with the players, and sorting out what we're going to have for lunch. Yeah, so, but the referees, quite rightly, they have to maintain quite a high level of cardiovascular because they've got to get up and down that field.
I think they do it less and less now. I think there's that many different fourth officials and VAR that they don't need to go as far as they don't need to run as far as into the box anymore. They can just get a decision wrong and pass it over to the camera, and someone else will give a decision.
Are we talking about the umpires now, Keith? Are we talking about the referees?
Referees, football referees. They can just float around the centre circle pretty much.
Yeah. No, it's like I say, I'm actually a qualified referee. I loved my football when I was a youngster, but once I started playing pro cricket, I decided not to play football anymore. It was I was a lot better cricketer than what I was footballer. So my brother used to play for Stafford Rangers and Alfreton Town in like the conference. I think they call it. Is it the National League now? I think it's called. So I used to go and watch him, but I started. I did my referees course and did quite a bit of refereeing over the first few years of my playing career in the winters because I wasn't going overseas. I needed something to do.
A lot less abuse in cricket than there would have been football back then, wasn't there?
Yeah, but the lads were good, because I played football up until I was 20 years old. So, and the leagues that I was refereeing, I'd also played in. And the guys knew that I'd gone off to play cricket. So when I went back as a referee, there was some funny stuff, and as most umpires and referees will tell you, we ain't going to get it all right. We're human beings. So, it was certainly something that I enjoyed doing, the refereeing, and it was something to keep me fit and keep me interested in football. And obviously, I like football because I'm a Manchester City supporter.
No.
Pretty much, that's horrible. That's horrible to hear.
How is that?
As we often talked about, Barks, but there you go.
Yeah, I once, just speaking of referees and stuff and players having a go, we once went to a under-17s tournament. We were under-16, so we were a year below, but we went to an under-17s tournament in the Netherlands. Right, you'd have loved it. There was Ajax, PSV, Bayern Munich. There was Real Betis and a few other. There was PSG and a few other clubs there. It was a really good tournament. But we went there, and it's a bit of an experience for us. The managers wanted us to take us there because it's a bit of an experience of understanding the European side of football, where it's more about possession and running around. And I was up front to run around, smash into people and whatever else. And whistle went, kick off. I think it was against Ajax. They just kept the ball. I'm running around like an absolute raging bull. And then I turn around and there's just me on my own. All my teammates are stood there going, if you think we're going to get the ball off them, you're stupid. So I'm out of breath. Right. Got to the last game and we'd been battered most games. And the manager said to us, he said, lads, and I'll tell you this now. There's no way I'm accepting going back to the academy director with the Fair Play Award. You lads go in this game and do everything you can to make sure we don't get that award, because that is the thanks. It's the thanks for coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we had to go around just smashing into players. I'm then like squaring up to the referee just to get a yellow card.
Oh, dear.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. How did Blackburn get on that tour?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they. I don't know if you have to apply for it or whatever, or they were given a spot. But yeah, it was good fun, really good fun. Millsy, I've not asked you yet, but we'll get into it. The quick fire questions. Swing or nip?
Nip.
Pace or bounce?
Pace.
Nick off or bold?
Nick off.
Backhand slowy or knuckleball?
They would probably both go over the keeper's head if I was bowling them, but knuckleball.
Knuckle, okay. A good bouncer or a good Yorker?
Oh, good bouncer every day of the week.
So I thought you would have you've gone swing, lovely to hear. Pace, yeah. I thought you'd have gone bold rather than nick off.
No, I was. It was very much a setup of mine was to bowl to like off stump, full stump, and to try and keep one side of the pitch, or one side of the wicket rather, and to smash the keeper. You know, I used to take the batter completely out of the equation. Paul Nixon was probably the keeper for most of my career. And if he wanted me to bowl straighter, he would move straighter. He'd take half a yard. He'd take half a yard to the left, let's say, if there was a right-hander facing, because he knew that that's where I'd be lining up. And I'd always try and generate the what we would call the purest swing for a right armer to take it away. And if it nipped back, then it was done purely by accident. It wasn't something that I went out and thought, right, I'm going to bowl 5 away swing, 1 nip backer. I wasn't that good. I just had to keep things very, very simple, and try and keep people on the back foot, to bring the LBW more into it. So we didn't mind bowling bouncers a lot. Quite simply, there was a lot more bouncers bowled in those days than what there was than there is in these days. But I think a lot of that is to do with the pitches. The pitches were greener, quicker, and you know, that's changed quite a lot now. The pitches, I feel, are starting to come back now, with regards to you see a lot more green grass. Yeah, I still think that we need green grass in this country for the pace. If we take the green grass off, it just kills it. You can hit the depth.
Why have pitches changed in your opinion then? Why have they taken more grass off and gotten slower? Like what's the kind of objective, do you think?
Well, it was the objective was originally to teach people how to bowl on flatter pitches when England go overseas and tour. That was that. So what happened is that we took all the grass off, and this bloke Shane Warne turned up, and they couldn't believe what they were looking at, and obviously the rest is history. And we literally with you know, and I know we talk about Jimmy Anderson, you know, being, for me, Jimmy is in the all-time bowling team, or the starting 11 of my playing career, dating back to 1985 through to now, because you know the man has proven he can pretty much bowl on anything, and when conditions are in his favour, he is a joy to watch. And I put him up there with the likes of Marshall, not as quick as Marshall obviously, but he is terrific, and England switched on to that when I started preparing pitches in favour of their own bowling attack.
Yes.
Like everybody does, when we go to Australia, we're not playing on green seamers in Australia, are we? So it's so I think it was a mistake that we started trying to prepare a lot flatter pitches in this country. This is where we play at home. This is our backyard. But I see now in the county cricket, I see a lot more green grass on these pitches, and the quicker, and the pace is consistent, and the bounce is consistent. And it's not great cricket if you're hitting the deck at 85 mile an hour plus, and it's coming off at 72, and the batters are struggling to time the ball, and then so it's that's the reason why I think we went down that route with making the pitches straw coloured, I think they called it. So we're starting to go away from that.
That's with that. I think that's quite interesting. Because when you look at it, I don't know what your thoughts are, but using kookaburra balls over here, I found that the game becomes quite dead really quickly because of the way the wickets are and the way the balls are. They don't seem to marry well together over here. I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one because we saw some high scoring games, didn't we, when they first were introduced? Yeah. And on the flip side of that, we saw some low scoring games. Whether that was down to the ball or the pitch that it was being played on, I just haven't got that expertise to say what's right and what works and what doesn't work. I didn't particularly enjoy using the kookaburra ball when I played in like Australia and South Africa in first class cricket. There it was especially in Australia, somewhere like Hobart, the pitches were incredibly flat, and it was after the first 10-12 overs you were just trying to bowl maidens. Literally this thing was just bullet straight. And I'll give you, for example, we played against New South Wales, and I got Taylor and Slater out. They were playing for New South Wales, so they're like 20 for 2. And Steve Waugh came in at 3 and Mark Waugh at 4. And at the end of the first day, they're 400 for 2. We sat in the dressing room, and David Millns, our skipper, and we sat there, and everybody's got a beer, and the dressing room's very quiet. And Booney's just looked round, and he's just sort of said, "Which idiot got the first 2 out?" Yeah, that'll be me, Booney. Yeah, honestly, it was literally some of the toughest, hardest cricket I played in. Was in that Australian Shield season. One, because the players are very good, but 2, the pitches are fabulous. So I batted number 8. I got in 3 times the whole season.
Jesus.
Twice Warney bowled us out at the MCG, and once I got in. No, sorry, twice. I batted 4 times. Twice I got in at the Wacker, where it was bouncy and quick, and that was a good game.
Based on your what obviously happened, I can't remember specifically watching you bowl, although I probably have in your late career. But you're made for those kind of conditions, aren't you? To be honest, because not many English guys get a go in Sheffield Shield. How did that come about? Was that just your record and your style that got you that opportunity, or what?
Yeah, I think it was. I'd sort of had a number of good seasons. I think I took like 70 odd poles in '94, and I'd actually signed to play for a club in New Zealand, in Auckland, for the winter. I was just going to go out there. Just got married, just have a winter. I'd spent a couple of winters out in Auckland before. Loved it, and I was on my way to Auckland. We stopped off in Singapore for a few days, and I got a call in the hotel from the chief exec from Tasmania, and and it was the Ashes tour as well, 94, 95 when I played there. And me and Gus Fraser had been asked to sort of keep ourselves in nick basically, so we did some negotiation with the Tasmanian Cricket Board whilst I was in Singapore, and so it, got diverted, went through to Tasmania, and it was through Jack Simmons. Remember Jack Simmons from Lancashire? He was an off spinner, played for Tasmania for many years before they became first class. And they asked Jack. Jack was president at Lancashire at the time, I think. And they spoke to Jack, and he recommended me. So that's how it came about. So I turned up, played for Tassie. Excuse me. And the first game I played, the way that Tasmania had played in the Shield final the year before, and they'd done it by putting people in, and then Tasmania would declare behind first innings. Second innings, they get left a target to go for, and they had a cracking lineup there: Jamie Cox, Dean Hills, David Boone, Ricky Ponting, Michael DiVenuto, Rod Tucker, a guy called Sean Young that played ODI cricket for Australia. And that's how they got through to the final. They were knocking fourth innings targets on. So I've turned up, and nobody was going to fall for this again. And we were playing WA at home at Belrive, and we got 580 for 5 declared, I think we got. And at the end of the third day, Western Australia, 603 for 3. Tom Moody, 278 not out, which is still his career high, right? And thankfully on the fourth day, this is in October, and on the fourth day we turned up to the ground and it's snowing, and we got snowed off. So I didn't have to bowl at Tom anymore, which I was delighted about.
Amazing.
And that was like a baptism. That was, and you we talk about hitting areas and consistently, and that area just becomes, you felt like you had a piece of A4 paper to hit, and if you didn't hit that, you were sort of like you were going to go for runs, and but it made it made me come back to England and realise that I never bowled on the flat one in England. So I just sort of think when you lads have been there, you've played down at Taunton when it's been cracking deck, but that would have been a fast, bouncy, seaming pitch in Hobart to me back in '94. But yeah, made me a better cricket, maybe a lot better cricketer all round, I felt.
I hope they paid you well to bowl on those. Was this before you won the Champo with Leicestershire, or was it?
Yeah,
was it
no, we came second in '94, and then won the championship '96, '98.
Yeah.
And in '92, I think we were top, or we hammered Essex at home, who went on to win it in '92. But I broke my foot, so I missed pretty much the last 2 months of the season, which we fell off, and I can't remember. I think we finished about 4th in that season. So the team, it wasn't unexpected from us. We realised, we knew that we had a very good bowling attack.
Yeah.
And then in '96, Jimmy Whittaker took over, and a lot of the young batters came through. Vinnie Wells, a guy called Vinnie Wells, got moved from number 6, number 7 up to opener. And Vinnie would go out there and hit the first ball for 6 over extra cover in a 4-day game, and that's. But he was, but he played, and Darren Maddy opened the batting, Ben Smith 3, Jimmy Whittaker 4, Phil Simmons, the West Indian 5, Aftab Habib 6, Nixon 7, me 8. So it was good, but there were good players, and Darren Stevens was around at that stage as well. He was on the periphery. Jimmy Ormond.
He's a good bowler.
There was a lot of very talented players. So
Did Daffy play with you, or was he at Lancs at this point? Like,
Yeah, Daffy left 89 because he started at Leicester. Daffy left 89. I joined 90, and then he came back 2000 when I went back to Notts. So I left Leicester at the end of it. I was always sorry I never got to play in the same team as Daffy because I get on well with him. He's a very fine man.
Yeah, he's a good fella. To be fair, he coaches across the whole county. He dips in to help with the professionals when he can, and he also does like the academy and stuff. He's awesome. To be fair, he'd be a great guest, Keith, because he's probably like you, to be fair, Milns. He has plenty of stories because we need to get into some more Boone stories, I reckon. You must have a few of those. But yeah, who Al Mullally, would he have been in that team of yours?
Yeah, Alan and I, we were together 10 years. We opened the bowling for 10 years. Wow. At Leicester, and just a high quality. I don't think that Alan realised how good he was until probably about the 94-95 season, because he made his debut for Western Australia when he was 17 in the Shield final, and Paul Nixon went out to Australia and befriended Alan. I'm not sure whether they might have played at the same club. I'm not sure. And Alan was actually born in Southend in Essex, and so he had a British passport. His mum and dad were like £10 poms.
Okay, right, yeah.
And yeah, so he moved out to Australia when he was 2 years old, I think. So he learned his cricket in Australia.
Yeah.
But he had this British passport. So Nixon got on to Leicester and said, "Look, we need to sign this guy. He's qualified English," and so that's what happened. They snapped him up straight away. So, but he was, probably one of the best one-day bowlers I've ever played with, for sure. So it was good for me to have Alan at the other end. And in 1 year we had there was me, Mullally, Mike Kaspovich was the overseas.
Oh yeah,
Jimmy Orman, Chris Lewis was the bowling attack.
That's like that's a mega bowling.
If you didn't bowl 90 mile an hour, you got taken off. That was it. It was just like, we're just here. We're not here to. Yeah. So, and that was a formidable attack. That was.
So obviously that's a really big period of success for Leicestershire, and then obviously the 2000s were harder. Like what happened in that period? Was it like an administrative stuff, or did a lot of players just come to the end of their careers or move on, or like what was the crack for sort of that?
Yeah, it's in and around that time, I think Chris Adams left Derby towards the back end of the 90s, went down to Sussex and signed a very big contract. And as a non-international player, I know Chris played a little bit of international cricket earlier in his career.
Yeah.
But players started sort of thinking, well, that's twice as much as I'm on, and things, the wheels start turning. So there was, I think Mike Kaspovich went to Glamorgan in 2000. I came to Notts. Mullally went to Hampshire. Yeah. Nixon went to Kent. It was, and when you look at the turnover of some of these clubs, Leicestershire's got one of the smallest turnovers as a business, compared to like the Oval, which has got a turnover of probably 75 times what Leicestershire's got. So, and places like Southampton and, this sort of thing. And money talks at the end of the day. And as we know, especially as bowlers, your career could be over tomorrow. You could pick up an injury and that's it, you're done. And clubs, it's a professional business. And, if your shelf life date is up, then you're gone. And you've got to go and find a living. So if somebody's willing to pay you twice what your current employer's paying you to do the same job, you're going to go. You need to.
Yeah.
To
I'm gonna bring it back more towards bowling, as obviously Wrighty is such a Leicester diehard. He's made this like a Leicester members only podcast for some reason. You were known for bowling quite quick, and from what I was told, you had an exceptional 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years of bowling even quicker. Was there anything that you looked to have done in that period of time, or did things just click for you?
A lot of it was down to strength and conditioning. A lot of it was down to workload management. The captain, Nigel Bryars, in my early career at Leicester, felt that my best format was 4-day cricket, and he felt that it would be better that I rested on, because we used to play this 40-over competition on a Sunday.
That's wild, by the way.
In between, and then we had the 60-over competition, the Nat West, and then we had the 55-over competition, the Bensons. So it was the workload was quite extreme, and so it was decided that players would be given rest days with regards to the Sunday League, and if we had to bowl a team out on the Monday to win a championship game, you'd probably see that I'd be rested and one of the other bowlers would be rested. Alan Mullally very rarely got rested. He was that good a one-day bowler. So poor old Alan got wheeled out quite a lot. So, but yeah, and then towards when James Whittaker took over as captain, the one-day stuff sort of like fell by the wayside for me. But if we got through to like the later rounds, the semi-finals and what have you, then they'd look to bring me back for the later stages if they felt that was the best thing for the team. So I think it was a lot of that. But you know what it's like with your body, especially as you get older. You need a little bit more time to recover. And that was very much the case, I think, and probably around 27. I was about 27 years old. Was probably when I bowled at my quickest, but I bowled at my best when I was 31. So, and I don't know whether that was because that's when I really started batting well as well. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a real. I love batting more than I love bowling. But yeah. But I think my best season was 96 when I was 31. But you're strong. You know your game. You know what you're thinking about, what you're trying to do. You're not getting involved in all the silliness that goes on the cricket field sometimes and off. So just concentrate on your career.
I think that must have been quite good. I mean, I'd hate to have played essentially what will be a 3-day game with a 1-day game, then finishing the other game. But that must have been quite good if you knew you were going to get that rest day on a Sunday, because almost you imagine, right, if you got a team that you've got 10 wickets to get, and actually now it goes into the 1-day comp, and you've got a full day's rest where you can. For us now, it'd be like see the physio, bit of mobility, like rehydrate everything. That would be quite good to know that you've got that.
That would. To be fair, and also like you can kind of think about what you've got to do, right? You can think about the pitch, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, the idea of playing a 50-over game, because you could argue it's the hardest format. That 50 overs in the field it's long and hard, isn't it? As a fast bowler, the last thing you need is that stuck in on mid-game. That'd be horrific.
Yeah, only the 40 over cricket was stuck in mid-game.
Okay.
Which was Sunday League, but the others were standalone competitions. But the way it's structured now, and it must be a very difficult job for the ECB to try and manoeuvre all these competitions in at the right time, and I think, personally they do a very, very good job with it. And again, I go back to my playing days. We played a 3-day game in those days. It was you started on a Saturday, played a Sunday league game, and then finished a 3-day game on a Monday, Tuesday. So we were playing Somerset at home. This was when I was at Trent Bridge. Playing Somerset at home on the Saturday, and then we all got in our cars and drove down to Taunton to play a Sunday league game. Yeah. And then got back in a car Sunday night to drive back up to Nottingham to carry on a 3-day game at Trent Bridge. And that was an anomaly. It didn't happen very often, but it was just like, that's it. So the guys who are putting, and the women, because you got all the women's cricket as well, that put all this together. It must be a massive jigsaw puzzle, and then you've got to fit Sky in, because they want to position it in such a way that is going to be best for them, and they're the paymasters, quite simply. So I don't envy that job. I really don't.
No.
I mean, the ECB. I mean, I think it is. It must be difficult, but I do remember, it would have been, I think, 2009, where we were. I think it was going around. All players were kicking off about how much cricket. There's the 16 champ holes, the 50 over comp, the 40 over, and the T20. And the ECB came and said, right, this is what's going to happen. We're going to get rid of a competition. Pro 40 is over. You're going to have less cricket because you'll have less competition to play. The next year, the fixtures came through, and although the 40 over had gone, they'd realised that there was quite a few days of no cricket. So we ended up playing more games of cricket the year after than we did with one more tournament, which was crazy.
Clever. The Pro 40 was a good comp, but when you hear stories, I know players now there's still a big thing, isn't there, about player welfare and stuff like that. And then you hear like what you've just said. You've got to appreciate and remember the people that have gone before you, haven't they, and have paved the way. Because the idea of driving to Taunton mid game, what's that? 3.5 hours, 4 hours from there?
Yeah, comfortably. Yeah.
It's not exactly optimal, is it, for performance?
No, but it's like you say, the game that's played today is a very different game to the one I played, in the sense that the professional game has woken up to getting players trained properly and actually having a strength and conditioning coach. It was a case of you either did it or you didn't. When because they weren't going to pay the money to employ somebody to do it. Proper medical care, teaching players how to eat and look after themselves properly. Whether they do that, whether they take it on board or not, is up to them. That's their prerogative. But it's something that I think I would have really enjoyed. We were lucky in that Leicestershire group that I had. We had a bunch of guys that loved training: Darren Maddy, Paul Nixon, Ben Smith. Yeah. They all were proper gym bunnies, but they knew what they were doing. So we all sort of dovetailed them really to get you along and to keep you fit and keep you strong. So that was very much an in-house thing. Whereas now professional clubs, I feel, have taken that on board, but they've also realised that their quick bowlers are absolutely the jewels in the crowns, and they have to look after them. You look at the bowling team that they've got at Surrey, with across all formats. Yeah. It's phenomenally strong, but they have the finance to do that, to maintain that standard of squad. But they've set the bar. Alex Stewart down there has set the bar for everybody to follow. So, but not all clubs can afford to do that.
When you were Millsy, sorry, right. When you were playing Millsy, what was your mindset when you were bowling? Because obviously you bowl quick. Were you quite aggressive? Do you feel, or were you in like the positive mindset, or did you need things to go your way before you felt comfortable? What type of bowler and mindset did you have?
I kept it as simple. And again, it wasn't something that came early in my career. Early in my career, there was, I changed my action quite a bit, and it was I was more, what's the right word, thinking about my action than what the end product was, and then I sort of got through that, moved to Leicestershire, and just trusted what I had. And if I was bowling at a right-hander, I'd just imagine I was bowling at Robin Smith, who for me was like one of the most destructive right-handers there was around in my era. And everybody used to come up to you and say to you, "Don't bowl short and wide at Robin Smith." You used to smash it. So if you're thinking that, don't bowl short and wide. So what do? You bowl short and wide at Robin Smith.
Yeah.
But I got myself into this groove where, right, Robin Smith's facing, I've got to hit off stump just outside. Judgy loved a hook and a pull, but he'd pull up or he'd hook up. But I didn't want him pushing too far forward on the front foot to me. So I was LBW was a good wicket for me. We used short leg a lot in our day, and short leg was more to keep the batter in the crease. So it brings LBW more in. LBW, I can count on one hand how many wickets I got caught at short leg in a 17-year career. But the amount of LBWs it helped me generate, that's where, especially when the pitches were nipping around a little bit. So right-handers was Robin Smith and left-handers was Brian Lara, and I had to keep it that simple. I didn't think about, well, I can't. He hits it here or he hits it there. I just concentrated on the areas I wanted to hit, and if I did my job, then I'd bowl 6 overs, spells, don't go for more than 15, and the wicket column would take care of itself. Quite simply, and that's how that's how simple it was, and it's if you start thinking about this, me personally, my bowling action during the game, I'd just become a scattergun, and that would be where it would all go wrong, quite simply.
Yeah.
Just sorry, right? I've got one more question, just from talking about stuff as well. How did you react? And this is not something you do, but how did you react to umpires telling you were pushing the line of bowling a no ball? Because that seems to be it's more the newer umpires you find that are like, you're getting really close to the front line, and sometimes as a youngster, especially, it plays in your mind because you're thinking about so many different things. You're like, oh god, I don't need that in my head. How did you ever have that at all when you were playing?
No, if I asked. It's like now when I'm umpiring now, I'd never tell a bowler if he was close. If he asks or she asks, then yes, definitely. Yeah. I'd give them that information, like you 80% over the front line or 20% behind. That sort of information. But no, Barks. I totally agree with you. When somebody's bowling, the last thing you want to be thinking about is overstepping. If you overstep, call a no ball, and then I'll adjust it from there. But in my playing days, the umpires didn't give you that information voluntarily. You had to ask for it. So, but I know, and I've spoken to a number of people with regards to bowlers in the modern day, and they don't like it. You know, they don't like this information being, you know, because they're already thinking about the next ball and they're walking back to the mark, and the umpire sort of says, "Oh, you're getting tight on the front line." That's not where they want to focus. So that's, you know, and there has been somebody this season who's actually turned around to the umpire and said, "I don't want to know, just call it." Yeah, basically shut up, just leave me alone, just call it. If I overstep, call it. You know, and that's understandable. You know, it's your game, and we're just there to officiate. We're not there to coach you. We're not there to guide you. You know, I'd love it. By the way, when batters say to me, as the standing umpire at the bowler's end, and they come down the non-striker's end, and they sort of say, "Oh, is my head falling over like this?" You say, and I'm like, I look at them. I'm like, I'm looking at the front line. Then I've got to pick up the ball to see whether it pitches in line, and it might be doing 90 mile an hour. No, I'm not looking whether your head's falling over or something. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a rhetorical question, really. You know, I'm just like, yeah, it's funny. Batters, absolutely strange breed, but they could say the same about us, I suppose.
Yeah, no, they do, definitely. You're in a really unique position, and you've already sort of talked about some of the differences between when you played and now. So is there anyone in the modern game that reminds you of yourself? Whether that's county or international?
I would say Ricky Clark. That's sort of Ricky. That's sort of. I'm not talking about personality, by the way. I'm talking about right. Probably Ricky Clark. That sort of action. Batting wise, obviously Lara. The Leicestershire Lara. Yeah. No. Batting wise, I think you, and bowling wise, you have your own styles and all the rest of it. So, but there is no, I can't really sort of say. Yeah, I think closest action wise would probably be Ricky Clark. So with his shape as well, that sort of yeah. But Ricky was a better player than I was as a batter. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good, Rick. Very, very good. Sorry, right, have you got one?
I want to speak to Milns about his toughest opponent, or maybe that's not a great question. Maybe a better question is who are the best bowlers that you saw when you were playing? Who would you rank up there?
Well, the bowlers that I really struggled with, I was walking LBW to Wazim Akram because I just couldn't pick up his timing.
He hit it, didn't he? Apparently.
Yeah, it had just come at you like a 90 mile an hour out of a bowling machine and just thud me on the knee. I'd already fallen over. Thud me on the knee and I'd walk off. But I just could not get Ricky's. I couldn't get Wazim's timing. Alan Donald was the quickest I faced, but because his action was so pure, you could pick up the timing. Still bloody terrified you, absolutely terrified you. But you felt if you kept your eye on the ball, then you had a decent chance of getting out of the way. So I used to love playing against Warney, and but mainly because I just tried to hit him all the time.
Turning into you, isn't
I'm talking about when he was batting rather. I remember when we played Victoria at the MCG. Warney's coming to bat, and Booney says, "What field do you want?" I said, "Don't care, Booney. Stick him where you want." He said, "Well, what are you going to bowl?" I said, "Well, I'm just going to hit him on the head. That's all I'm going to do." He's like, he's England's biggest threat. It's the Ashes tour where we need to we need to do something about this bloke. So Bernie's like, okay, mate, fair play. Walks down the pitch, says to Warney, you're in for some chin music like this, you see. So I'm just literally like bouncing Billy, and I've ended up bouncing him out for not many. But that was it. That was my mindset. I was just going to do England a favour. If I could damage his finger or that sort of thing, then it would do my England team a big favour. And and then I've walked out to bat, and Warney's bowling, and he's bowled me a bouncer first ball. It's a good one as well. Yeah. But that was the way. That was and he Warney respected that. He was just like, no, fair play to you. That's the game of cricket. So those sort of guys. There's not many guys that you some very good players like there is now. Some very very good players. But that's. You got out there and you got stuck in and you did your best, and some days were good and some days not so good.
Not fair.
But Laura was the best at, when you walk off the field, when you bowl well, when you're in good nick, it's coming out, you're hitting the deck and all the rest of it. And Laura came over in '94, I think it was, and we bowled Warwickshire out for 200 at Edgbaston, and Laura was on about I think he got about 110 at the 200, and then we went out and we got about 400. Warwickshire back in, and Laura was not out in the second innings, 120 odd not out, and we were. So we had them 6 down. Laura's in. He's on 99. We've had 5 balls in the over, and we've got everybody apart from the keeper on the boundary, right? Or 4 balls in the over rather. So we just wanted 1 ball at the other guy, right? Who was number 8, like Paul Smith, who was a good player. He could play the ball, right? But we just couldn't get this bloke out. He was that good, and that's when he got 700s in 8 first-class innings, including his 365, and you walked off at the end of that, and the pitch was a good pitch to bowl on. Wasn't flat, and it was just, you walked off and you realised that that's as good as it gets. I'm hitting my straps, I'm hitting my channels, hitting my pace, and it still gets 100 both innings. So you just tip your cap and you look back, and it was good that you got to play against that, and you got to, people always sort of say, well, how good was he? I don't know, I never played against him, you know what I mean? So, but when you play against guys, especially when they're in that sort of nick, hard at the time, but you look back on it and you actually think, that was quite a privilege to be out there. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. That doesn't happen quite so much now, does it? Not in red ball. In T20, you obviously get some of the biggest names, but you don't really get them now in county cricket, do you? In the same way that you used to.
Yeah, but and again, in county cricket, back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, that's where the money was. You got paid for first class cricket. It was the best paid cricket in the world. Was in England, and that's why you got the Marshalls and the Lauras and the Donalds and the Akrams and that sort of thing. Whereas now we're in a very different world now. And good luck to you guys who are playing. I don't begrudge a penny of it to you. And I think that people that go and play in these franchise tournaments, and if they can secure themselves enough money to put themselves and the families into a financial security, absolutely fantastic. Because when you get to 35, plus, you start looking and you sort of thinking, what am I going to do? Where am I? I've still got to go to work. So, and there's not jobs for everybody in cricket. So that's why I say it's if you've got that sort of financial stability behind you, then you can, at the end of your career, you can start to formulate a plan to go and do something that you want to do rather than what you have to do. Is what I'm alluding to. So I tip my cap to you guys that get to do this franchise cricket, and I've had my time. I loved it, loving what I'm doing now. I had the privilege of doing international cricket as an umpire, and every day is a privilege to be out there with you guys, and this is my job. This is what I get paid to do. So I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm doing something and involved in something that I've absolutely loved and still do.
It's class.
Yeah,
Keith, did I interrupt you? You were going to ask something, weren't you, a second ago?
I think that's gone for me. I've got another question though. I don't think Ray asked this question. What do you think the standard of bowling is like then to where it's at now? I know the wickets are slightly different, or there's starting to be a bit more green, a bit more grass on the wickets as such. But where do you reckon the level of bowling's at from when you were playing to now?
I think Division 1 is comparable when you look at some of the attacks on view. When you're looking at some of the attacks that, let's say, the Hampshires can put out and the Surreys can put out, they're as good as what you've seen in the game over the past 40 years. Skill-wise, just high end. And then you as you get further and further down, you look at like the Division 2 bowling attacks, and I was lucky enough to do a game at Leicestershire a few weeks ago when the Leicesters beat Lancashire, and I was really impressed with that Leicester bowling attack. They were just so disciplined, and they just really they had a plan, very simple plan, but one side of the pitch, and keep the pressure on the batter, and that's what they did. And I thought that was as good a bowling attack as I've seen in the second division for some time. Just purely not massively quick, but quick enough. But that was, Alfonso has really got those guys to buy into something, and it's paying dividends, and that's keep it simple, keep it one side, and we've got a plan. It's simple as that, really. So I think some of the young quicks that are coming through. I've just had the boy Eddie Jack. I think he's down with you, isn't he? He's a Hampshire boy, isn't he, Barks? Jack's bowled quick. He bowled and he swung it away as well. I thought, but when you look at the other guys coming through at Hampshire's, John Turner, obviously we already know about. There's a real good crop of young quicks coming through as well, and that can only be good for English cricket. And we all want to see Atkinson, Archer, Wood, in that Ashes team. That'd be fantastic, absolutely fantastic. But it's if it happens, great. If it doesn't, there's some very, very good bowlers that are there or thereabouts. See, I'm a big fan of Luke Wood at Lancashire, but I think Luke's gone just to white ball cricket now because of the franchise stuff. The way contracts are shaped now, that they can't sign a red ball contract because of the white ball franchise stuff. I don't. You guys might know about it. So a lot of guys like that are not available for red ball cricket, which is a shame. But it is what it is. But I am a big fan of Luke Wood. I think I like the energy that he has and the stuff that he can, and obviously the left arm as well. It always adds it always adds that extra dimension to your attack if you've got a good left armour in your team. Yeah.
Okay, so you've played from like 1989 onwards. You've umpired from 2007, so you've seen it all. You played. What do you think is the next thing in bowling? Like, what does the future have in store for bowlers? If you had to go out on a limb, is there a skill that you think has not been explored, or a rule that could be exploited, or anything like that in any of the formats? That's probably a tough question, to be fair. So I apologise for putting you on the spot.
No, I look at, and again, the game's a 360 game now for you guys, especially in one-day cricket, when people are reverse ramping you and it's in my day, your death bowling was middle and leg Yorker. That was it. Slower balls to a certain extent. The back of the hand stuff, I'd never even tried, and I don't think he even knew about it. I don't think it was even in there. But I do feel that, especially at the death, and we call it at the death, but guys going, to 20 over, 100 over, 100 ball, they're going from ball one now, aren't they? I mean, it's just, but certainly at the death, I think if you can nail your fast middle and leg Yorker, and your captain has got confidence, then you've got a good chance of setting a field to that. But you guys, a lot of guys like this wide Yorker now, don't they? Like the fourth, fifth stump Yorker, so they're getting carved just one way, which is a sort of similar sort of psyche to it. Like I say, it's you play a different game to the one I played, and I think it's a better one-day game. It's exciting, but from a skill point of view, I had all on just getting it into that one area and just sticking in that one place. Whereas the modern day bowler, he has to have 4 or 5 clubs in his bag.
Sure.
Whereas I just had the big driver, and that was it. And let the big dog eat, and that was it.
Yeah, I feel like you've got my notes here because you mentioned the wide Yorker, so this leads me on perfectly. I'm hoping you can explain the rule of the wide line for anyone listening, because I watched an international the other day, and Potts and Bumble, they were really falling out over it, weren't they?
Can I just add into this, actually, because Millsy, you've definitely umpired with me having this issue, and we'd never argue on anything, but the question will be asked is, when the batsman's moved and I've pushed it wider, definitely you've umpired, we've had this conversation. The batsman moves wider and I've pushed it wider. At what point does that wide line stop with how far they've moved? Because there's a few times where I'm like, Millsy, you've done me there. You've given that's not wide, and you'd be like, no,
I just like watching you bowl, Keith. That's why. I just want to see you bowl another one. It's if it goes outside the return crease, we have to wide it. Simple as that. It doesn't matter whether the batsman stood right next to the return crease. The wide line, both sides move with the batter. So if you're running up to bowl and the batsman is standing a foot outside of leg stump, let's say, then that's your wide line on the leg side. The fact that he's in front of the stumps now, when you release the ball, your wide line is still on his heels where he started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's moved across, but he started out there. So you've got that leeway. So if you just slip one down the leg side, but he started outside, a long way outside leg, something like that, you should be wider for that. So, and it's like when batters, when they fake to go back, and they push the leg back. Well, there's your guideline now for the umpire. So because he's shown that, so you've got that now as a bowler. If he comes back inside, well, tough. You can't. Batters can't have it both ways. And I can't believe that I've wired you, Keith, being part of the bowlers union. I can't.
Well, it's because I'm a United fan and you're a City fan. That's why, mate.
Now we're onto the real reason. Yeah, you probably beat it at the weekend. That's why.
So okay, I got one more question then on this wide thing. So if you were bowling, Millnsy, right, and you're bowling the other day, you're like Potts was. Jason Holder bats way outside off stump. So in effect, the wide line is kind of marginal. If you were bowling, what would you do there? Would you still fire it wide, or would you go at the stumps there?
Well, he's obviously gone outside. He's obviously gone outside off stump because he wants you to come onto his pads. So would that be fair? He's looking for that pickup, isn't he?
He's trying to reach it. He's just trying to get a swing, isn't he? I suppose.
Yeah. So, me personally, I'd just probably trying to hit him on the boot. I'd be looking to not give him anything at all. And if he stood outside off stump, then that's where, if he hits that Yorker length that's hitting him on the boot, you're not giving him too much leverage.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's you've got, obviously if you can bowl it behind his feet and bowl him, then but it depends on then where your fine leg is. Have you got your fine leg up? Have you got a backward square? So
it's probably up, isn't it? Knowing the wide Yorker field, probably fine legs up, square legs up. So it is a gamble.
Yeah. So it all comes into it, and that's so and we look at, like you guys do. You'll watch the TV and you'll see where the field is. So you're already knowing where the bowler's going to bowl. If it's going to be short, if it's going to be wide and full, because you can see where the field is. So you're sort of preempting as a batter. So you can understand why Holder's gone outside off stump, because he's saying, well, you've got your fielders there, so I don't want to hit it there where you want me to hit it to. I'm going to hit it the other side. So did Potsy bowl it outside the return crease?
So he bowled it wide of the blue line. No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't. It looked quite hard. If I'm honest, it looked harsh. I felt for Potts actually a bit, because obviously then there's, like you say, you can't go wider than the return crease.
Yeah.
But equally, Holder had gone so far across that line itself would probably have been reachable. It was an interesting dynamic, but Bumble kept widening him. There was about 3 overs left in the game. It was England were going to win, pretty straightforward win.
Yeah.
They kept widening him. Potts was losing his head. But I just wondered what your take was. And actually, it is good to clear up the rule, because I still think people, to be fair, some umpires around the circuit, especially club cricket, perhaps don't know it 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. No, it is.
So
I've got a question for you, right?
Oh no!
So you guys have what have you got now? Probably 1,500 wickets between you in your careers. Would be?
No, I don't think so. We had yours on, maybe.
Would be what, 1,400, I think.
Yeah.
Right, overall.
So
yeah,
what would your opening bowling attack for England be? I think the first test at Brisbane. In the Ashes. I think it's with it being on that pitch as well. You guys in the game today, and
we've had Damien Fleming on the podcast because Keith used to know him and stuff.
Yeah.
So he seems to think the wickets might actually be greener than we've come to expect in Australia, and they actually might help bowlers who bowl more traditionally, if that makes sense.
He mentioned Welksy, didn't he?
He did. I mean, we're huge fans of Wokes, aren't we, Keith? To be honest, I mean, Wood's obviously in it. We love Mark Wood, don't you? You can't not, like, pace, effort, just so wholehearted, isn't it? Is Archer fit? Are we having his Archer fit or not?
This is your selectors. You've got to select.
Jeez, I mean, I'd like Wood and Archer. That'd be quite cool.
I think I've got to have those two. Those two are definitely playing.
Cast has bowled exceptionally well, I think, so far in his international career.
Yeah,
as well. Oh crikey! I want Wokesy in it. Sam Cook deserves a go.
It's hard to leave Atkinson out, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, he's in.
You've got this is what I'm saying. I mean, I've just had Wokesy in this Lions game, and yes, he was not. He's obviously got a test match to play in a week on Friday. I think they start.
Yeah.
So he's but just class, absolute class.
Yeah. And he balances your team, doesn't he?
Yeah. And that's it's an interesting one, isn't it? Where you would go because Wokesy's obviously a very fine batsman as well.
Mm.
And then you've got Atkinson and Cars who can both band. Yeah. So you're sort of thinking, are we just going to go for one gun? And do we have Arch or do we have Woody? That's where I was alluding to.
Okay. I mean, I think they'll rotate them, won't they, through the series if they're both fit. If you told me right now I could only have one, that would put us in a difficult spot because we want to get them both on the podcast, don't we? So I don't know if I want to nail. I don't want to die on that hill, Millnsy, to be honest.
But yeah, it's a nice problem to have for the if everybody's fit for Stokesy and the selector and what have you. It's a nice problem to have. But I'm like you. I think is there enough room in that team for a Ben Stokes who's bowling and a Chris Wokes when everybody's fit? Yeah,
that's a good point. I kind of forgot that.
Yeah.
To be fair, I did forget that. Because that's
a question that we could probably chat about for a long time. I think it's not that straightforward that of who you'd have. Yeah,
I think the smart thing is you rotate Wood and Archer, don't you? And like you say, you maybe if you take Sam Cook, maybe you rotate Wokes and Cook together, and then Atkinson. Mind you, they're going to rotate them all, I suppose, aren't they? To be fair, because like you say, you've got enough.
And we don't even mention Sam Curran now.
No.
I think amazing. Isn't it?
Who's the best spinner in the country, Millnsy? That you've umpired?
Good question. Let me have a quick run around I've not seen anything spin this year. We've not really had turning pitches. Youngster coming through. I've just had this game with Farhan Ahmed, Rian's brother, and he lands it. But again, the pitch was not conducive. But he bowled a lot, and against some very good Indian players as well. Mm. And when you think that he's only 17, 18, that's quite an accolade to be bowling at that sort of caliber of player. Mm. So, and who's you got Bash, obviously. I've not seen Bashir this season, obviously only on TV. So
Carson, Sussex. I think he's done quite well wickets wise so far this year, hasn't he? But
right, I've not had the Sussex. There's who's the boy at Gloucester? The batter who bowls. Oh, I've forgotten his name. Is it Phillips? No.
You talking about Price?
Is it Ollie Price?
Well, was off-spin.
Yeah, he got a double 100 against Lancashire, batting number 4, I think he bats.
Yeah.
Looks a very, very good against a very good Lancashire attack. Saki Mahmood, John Turner, Tom Bailey, Jack Hartley. So it was a good attack, but he bowled well as well.
Oh, fair point.
In fact, there's Singh Dale at Gloucester as well. I don't know whether you've seen much of him.
Yeah.
He can hit the gloves.
Yeah, I saw him when he was at Hampshire when he was younger.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He's done really well since moving from Hampshire. Really well.
It was. I enjoyed. Look, that's what I did, and I, nothing gives me greater pleasure being on the cricket field umpiring a quick ball in my end. Because it's good to watch. That's. I remember a young Wrighty playing back at Headingley, I think it was, when you got a load of wickets at Headingley. Who were you playing for then, Wrighty?
Oh, gee, that would have been my first Warwickshire game.
You've collected a few caps on your journey, haven't you?
Yeah. Thanks. I'll try my best.
Was it Warwickshire?
That was my first game for Warwickshire. Yeah. It was on loan.
From Essex?
Essex, yeah.
So,
He did well that game, right? We'll ignore my 88 and 8th. That's right.
Milns likes the bowlers, mate. To be fair, that was first Warwickshire game, so first time I played with Keith as well.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was.
I don't think me and Chris spoke for the first year, did we? First year we played together, I don't think we really spoke much.
Yeah, I was sizing him up.
Millsy, how do you feel about? You mentioned Bumble. I think Wrighty mentioned Bumble earlier. David Lloyd. Graham Lloyd, and he did me a few years ago. Bear in mind, it was kind of his words that got me a trial. Basically, thinking I'll get on with him well. I've gone to sweep one, got one on the glove, given out. I'm livid, but I didn't show much dissent. I was just like, oh, it's hit me on the glove, kind of walked off. It made me think, where do you stand on dissent with bowlers and batters and stuff like that? Do you think it's a bit over the top with how much you can get done now, or do you feel like actually there needs to be something in place?
I think, so my umpiring career started 20 years ago. And when I came back into first-class cricket after I had a 5-year gap from finishing to coming back into cricket, and I was shocked at how players were behaving. Not all players, but and I genuinely like to think that I tried to play the game hard, and but if a decision was given, then you accepted it and you just got on with it, and you didn't see that sort of dissent that I was seeing when I first came back into cricket as an umpire. And then so the ECB started putting the foot down, quite simply, and they needed to, and so this reporting procedure, etc., has come into place. I think it's in a pretty good place, cricket, now, and I think some players are getting booked, which seems really harsh, I have to say. But this is what we're being asked to do as officers of the ECB. Yeah. So I can understand why some of the players are frustrated with some what would appear to be just a frustrated kick at the floor or a slap of the bat on the ground or whatever it may be, and they're getting booked for it. It's not the umpires per se that are driving this. We are umbrellaed by the match referee and then the ECB itself, because as we all know, everything's recorded. And they're asking us and the players to maintain the standard. So I can understand from a playing point of view how it must be really frustrating where you see a player get booked for something and then 2 weeks later that another player does the same thing and doesn't get booked. So it's a little bit inconsistent, and that's I think what drives players up the wall more than anything is the inconsistency. So, but it is cricket's in a lot better place than what it was 20 years ago from a discipline point of view.
Yeah,
let's put it that.
Can we just note with what you said there? It was a kick of the floor, like smack of the bat. It's aimed at one type of category of cricket, and that is batters mainly. It says it all, really. Batters, they're never happy, mate. It's almost like a only child syndrome. If they don't get their own way, they kick off, don't they?
Yeah, but they run everything, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
We're all too tired at the end of our careers to go into administration. Now there's yeah, like I say, it's I think the bowlers tend to get away with more than the batters do. I do. You know, the bad ball, whatever it may be, you know, make an expletive or kick the ground or whatever it may be, you know.
That's never really to do with an umpire's decision, though, is it? I mean,
no.
You do see bowlers do that if they bowl a bad ball and whatnot, but it's never, if there's one that's caught behind and not given, you don't really see, I've not seen as obvious blow-ups or signs of dissent from what. Maybe it's because if a batsman gets out, I don't know, it just seems all that is maybe focused on them. So you do pick up more things.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. But you see batters like they'll nick off to second slip and they'll walk away and they'll bang the bat on the ground and they'll get booked for it. You know, and you're just like, we don't want to be doing paperwork after a day's play. We don't. But it's like in years gone by, that would have just been a quiet word with the player at the end of the day, or maybe the following day in the morning. You know, but what had happened was those quiet words were not sufficient, and then people were pushing it to the next level, until it became untenable. So, and that's why there was a crackdown, and the players now, and it must be very frustrating, especially as a youngster coming in. You're coming in with all this energy and zest, let's say, and something doesn't go your way or whatever the case may be, and you let out an expletive or you boot the ground, and then suddenly you're getting booked, you know, so but that's all part of being a pro now. It really is. But you don't see the guys at international level do it very much. Have you noticed that? You don't see that. You don't see many guys getting booked at international level that often. But
because they're reviewing it. They're always reviewing.
Yes, that was exactly my point. That was exactly my point. It was that being, you know, we wear these cameras now on our chests, which has got all the ball tracking technology on that they're fine tuning. So maybe certainly within first class cricket that'll come in in a matter of time where players can review batting and bowling, obviously. But I don't know whether that technology is going to be up to standard within the next period. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it'd be good for the game if it did. I feel that, you know, and we've all been there with as players, batting and bowling. You'd be wanting to review that, and if we do have that option, then I think it'd be a good thing. But we'll see.
Probably be a cost thing, I guess, won't it? You know what I mean? Keith, have you got any more questions? We've kept Millnsy now for an hour and 20, so this is an absolute monster episode.
I'm all spent, mate. All spent.
Yeah, Millnsy, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Really appreciate your, you're open and honest, and yeah, you've seen it all and played at the highest level. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure, boys. Well done.
Thanks,
Good
Phil.
luck with everything.
Take it easy.
Cheers,
See
mate.
ya.
See you guys.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you leave us a review. It would mean a lot to Keith and I. 5 stars only, if possible, if you like it. And also, we do have a membership, which you can a free trial to listen to. That's on Patreon and Apple Podcasts. But for now, hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to podcasting again for you soon. Take it easy.
See you soon.